Hello everybody, so I'm down here on my driveway, and over on the left is where our power line was trenched in 8 or 9 years ago, and over the years that has settled, and it had left a kind of a depression in there, and that was causing drainage issues because water from the driveway was not able to run off down into that ditch here. It was kind of collecting in that the settled area of the trench. So it only took me 8 or 9 years, but I finally brought in some topsoil and smoothed that back out, filled in that settled area, and graded it so that it's going to shed water down into the ditch. And I put down, about a week ago, I put down a mix of rye and fescue seed, and it's starting up. But the problem we're having is we're not getting any rain. We got a little bit last week. We're not going to get any this week, and it looks like for the next 5 to 10 days there's not any rain either. So I needed to come up with a quick way to water this grass, because after all that effort, it would be a shame if it died on me. And so I'm going to show you a quick, pretty simple way that I rigged up to get water down here. It was fairly inexpensive, and I think the best part is that I had everything I needed to do this except for one thing I had to go out and buy. That was the pump, but I had everything else, and that's kind of a victory if you're a hoarder like me, if you can pull stuff out of your stockpile, and that's exactly what I did today. So we're going to walk over to the tractor. I'll show you what I set up for a pump, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, so here we are over at the tractor, and you can see what I've rigged up here. It's kind of a portable watering station. The only thing I had to buy, and I picked this up this morning, was this pump. I got this at Tractor Supply. This is 2.5 gallons per minute, 60 psi. This was $90, and I'll put a link to this pump and some other pumps down below the video. But that was the only thing I had to buy. Normally I'd try and order something like this, but I wanted to get watering done today because it's been so dry, and so I ran out and bought it this morning. Everything else here though is stuff that I had laying around. I've had a scrap piece of 1/2-inch tubing that was just the perfect size for the suction hose. That's going down in this tank. I actually sleeved that, and you can kind of see inside of a scrap piece of rigid polyethylene water pipe to keep this from coiling up. A lot of times when you try and put one of these flexible tubes into a barrel, it's going to coil up and won't reach the bottom. It might even suck air. So it's inside a stiff piece of black poly tubing to keep it down to the bottom. This barrel, I had bought a bunch of these barrels about 10 years ago. I used a couple for diesel storage for my generator. This was an extra that's been down under in my crawl space for all that time. So I finally put this to use. So I've got about 25 gallons of water in there right now, and it's sitting on an old pallet, and then it's on the forks on the front of my tractor. This is an old garden hose. It's got a couple pinhole leaks, but you know, for this purpose, who cares? So I'm always glad to keep old garden hoses around, if not for pumping water, you know, for all kinds of other things you can use a garden hose material for. I had a bunch of these transitions and pipe thread to hose thread brass fittings. I got a bunch of those from years ago. This is probably 25 years old, so that didn't cost me anything. And then I've just got the hose coil down there to a spray nozzle. Now over here on the tractor, the power line for the pump, it has an inline switch, and I've got that running up over to the tractor battery with some big Alligator clamps, and I put a piece of split loom tubing over that wire just to protect it as it comes out from under the tractor. The only thing to keep in mind if you're ever routing a wire like this, even if it's just for temporary use, keep it away from your exhaust because it'll get hot and melt stuff. So I've got this on the cooler side of the tractor, and once I close the hood, that'll be tucked in there and out of the way. So that's pretty much it. And I think the best part of this project is all I had to do was buy the pump. I had everything else. And so I'm fixing to go try this out. You'll see it for the first time, and we'll see how it does. Okay, so their results, it worked pretty darn good. You're not going to win any awards for putting down a lot of water fast, but you know, for keeping grass seedlings damp, you know, once a day, boy, that's just about perfect. And you really don't want to be. I mean, you saw me using a shower setting on the hose nozzle. You really don't need more than 2.5 gallons a minute for one of those anyway. So this works out really good. So I'm gonna make my way down the driveway. I think I got about a 30-foot hose, so I can from a central location hit about 60 feet at a time. You could easily rig this up so that you drive along and spray, and I may do that in the future. If not on the tractor, I might put this in the back of my Kubota RTV and just be able to drive and hang the hose out the window and spray with that. I didn't want to try that today, especially not on video, because if you want to see me do something idiotic, you know, watch me try and water the grass and drive at the same time. But you know, you really could rig it up to do that so that you don't even have to get out of your seat. So I think this is a good setup. Not bad for 90 bucks. And again, I'll put some links to the pumps, this pump and some others down below the video. One other thing I wanted to mention, I'm using this big barrel here, both because it's an easy way to move water, but again, if I wanted to put this in the back of my RTV, that'll work for that as well. But with a tractor, there are many other times where I've irrigated stuff, you know, out far from my water source just by filling the front bucket of the tractor. You can get, you know, 20-30 gallons of water in your tractor front bucket, depending how big it is. That's another way to do this without having to use a barrel. It does want to slosh on you, so you have to go slow and be careful if you're driving on uneven terrain. But you know, whether you use a barrel or the tractor bucket, the rest of the setup is going to be about the same, and seems to work really good in my experience. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks for watching.